Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another episode of reviewing my followers' worlds. So if you didn't see episode 1, I'll quickly explain how this works. So each episode I will do a tour of 1 or 2 of my followers' worlds, and then at the end I will rank it and give it a score out of 10 in these 5 different categories. So overall you get a score out of 50, and this is the current leaderboard here. You can see that Kevin is leading with a score of 29 at the moment, and I'm going to be reviewing one more world today to add to the leaderboard. So let's just get straight into it. The world I'm going to be reviewing today is by Pancake Supreme. He said the world is 9,000 days old and he's had it for 4 years. But I did record this footage quite a while ago, so I'm sure it's closer to 9,500 days old at this point. And it is a very impressive world and there's a lot to show. So I might have to skip over a few things, but I'll try to show as much as I can. So we start off over here at a Guardian farm. This one uses nether portals. I have seen this design before, but I've never used it myself. He said it's not actually that efficient, which is surprising. I thought this was one of the better Guardian farms on Bedrock Edition. But anyway, we headed through to the nether side to see what was going on over there. And I still don't really know what's going on over here. There's so much redstone around. It's all a little bit confusing. And I am doing this tour in spectator mode, so it's a lot easier to get all of these shots of what's going on underneath the ground and stuff. But I still don't really know. Like, I saw some cobwebs here. I've got no idea why there's cobwebs there. I know some of this is part of a shulker box loader. He uses quite a lot of those for his projects in this world. And just above this, he's got a pigling bartering system. It took me a while to actually find the piglins, but there's only 2 of them in there. And he said they're on a fast bartering system. So I think that means that you give them some gold, and then you have some gold on a sticky piston, like a gold block, and then you just keep pulling the gold block back and forth, and it makes the piglins barter faster. And I just thought I'd mention now that there is a lot of redstone stuff going on in this video that I just don't understand. So I'll try to explain little bits that I do know, but there's so much of it that I don't know, so I'm not going to try to explain it. Moving on, but staying in the nether, I found this project here. So I thought this was a wither skeleton farm, but it turns out this can spawn any hostile mobs from a nether fortress. And for some reason there was a stray in one of the minecarts. I don't know if that was supposed to be there or how that got there. And again, this farm looks pretty complicated. I've got no idea how this works. There's some upside down stairs, minecarts, fence posts, trapdoors, and cobwebs. I've got no idea how that comes together to make a farm. But it's got plenty of these spawning platform things here. But it must work kind of well because he's got a shulker box loader down below. And there is quite a few shulker boxes full of coal and arrows and bones. So it definitely does work. And I think this is the final thing we looked at in the nether. For some reason he dug out a 160 by 160 area in the nether down to the lava level. And he said he did this without actually having a plan for what he was going to do here, which I thought was kind of funny. So he spent all of this time digging all of this out. I'm actually doing a similar thing on my world at the moment, and I know that this takes a long time. And he said he didn't actually have any plans for the area. He said he might build a gas farm here, which I think will be quite nice. But yeah, he did this without actually having any plans. Okay, back over to the overworld now. And he's got a project here that I really want to do soon, which I've just not got round to doing yet. And that is the 24 stacked raid farm. I saw a video of this a while ago on YouTube. I really wanted to do it, but I've just not found the time and I don't really need it in my world. I just want to do it because it's a project that I wanted to do. But he's built one here and he did say it was quite a pain to build, and I do think it's quite an ugly build as well, but there's not really too much you can do about that. Raid farms are always going to be ugly builds. And then of course if we go down below the project there is another shulker box loader. He pretty much has these for every single project on his world. Okay, moving on, we come to probably the laggiest project in the world. This is a huge automated storage room. I think he's got 4 double chests for every single item in the game. And it's all automated storage. I do think this is massive overkill. You don't need 4 double chests for every single item in the game. We did actually have a bit of a joke about how he's got 4 double chests for diamond blocks and ancient debris and stuff. That's kind of optimism right there. And down below the project he had an auto smelter. So this is actually the first one I saw on the world. I'm pretty sure he's got like 4 or 5 of these at least. But yeah, he's got an auto smelter. And then if I back out you can see the whole project overall. And you might be surprised by this, but when I turn around, it does actually have another automated storage system. This is the one that he's working on currently, which I do think this one looks a lot nicer than the other one, and he's only got one double chest for each item, so that's like more acceptable there. But the redstone here just looks so confusing, there's no way I could explain what's going on here. Automated storage is just something I'm really not too bothered about in my world. I think there's just way too many items in the game to actually automate the storage for all of them. But anyway, underneath the automated storage, he's got some bulk storage. And I saw here that he's got a lot of endstone, and you'll see why a little bit later in the tour. And right next to the storage systems, he's got a little alley breeder. So I actually don't understand how this works just yet. I've not messed around with allays myself, but it looks pretty cool, and you just press a button and then it picks up an allay, so you can just take it off to wherever you want. So this might be something I build on my world. I've not actually seen anyone build one of these yet. Next up, we're actually going straight to the end. I didn't realise it was so soon after the storage systems. It's been a while since I recorded these clips, but yeah, over here in the end you can see why he's got all of that endstone now. So it's pretty much cleared out the entire end island. For some reason he left some floating islands around. I don't really know why he did that. But yeah, you can see he cleared out all of the endstone. That's why he's got so much of it back at the base. He's not really built too much here yet, but he built a ring around the outside to link all of the portals together. And then he's got a few farms down in the end as well. So there's a bee farm here, and it's actually a good idea to build these in the end because bee farms don't work in the overworld at night time, and obviously you don't get day and night cycles in the end, so it's a good idea to build them here. He's got a sheep farm with all of the different colours of sheep, a small bamboo farm which looks like it is 0 tick, so that's probably pretty efficient, and then he's got another auto smelter, and it looks like there's about 4 stacks of furnaces here. So I'm assuming this is a very efficient auto smelter. And the final thing that I saw in the end is this Enderman farm, which is just quite a simple build that most people have in their world. Okay, moving on from the end for now. We will be there again a little bit later on. But he's got another few farms set up here. So he's got a bamboo farm, and this is right next to a kelp farm. And then if I go down below, he's also got a flower farm, which I tried to figure out how this works, but I'm really not too sure. Like you can see at the top here, he's got 2 brewing stands on top of some blue ice, I think that is, and then some redstone dust going around the outside. I've got no idea how that can possibly benefit the flower farm below, but it's there for some reason. It must do something. There's just so much going on here, I've got no idea how to explain any of it. So it actually turns out that the bamboo farm and the kelp farm are so close together so that the bamboo can be used as fuel to smell all of the kelp. Which does make sense, I should have figured that one out before. But anyway, moving on to the witch farm, which again just looks overcomplicated to me. So he's got a dispenser facing up, or a dropper facing up, an ender chest in there, there's some magma blocks, a campfire, and he's got some TNT blocks. Like, how can TNT benefit this? I really don't understand what's going on in there. But yeah, this is the witch farm, and then he's also got a brewing system set up next to it here. And down below he's got this Neverwart farm here, and he uses dispensers with water buckets to harvest it. This is something I've seen before. I know that Etho did it a long time ago, but it's just something I've never actually done, and I think I do want to take advantage of that pretty soon. Okay, moving on from the witch farm, we've got probably one of the most impressive projects in my opinion. So here he's built an automated wither killer. So the way he's done this is there used to be a glitch on Bedrock Edition where you could actually obtain bedrock. Now it always gets patched, but then someone finds another way to do it. But he's used one of those glitches to get some bedrock in legit survival, and then he's built a wither killer with that bedrock. So you can just spawn the wither in, and then it will spawn inside of the bedrock, and then it uses TNT and I think some water in there to destroy the withers without destroying any of the redstone around the outside. So it's not the biggest build that he's got on his world, but it is really impressive just because you don't really see too many people with bedrock in legit survival, and he's actually put it to good use as well. Killing the wither can be a pain on Bedrock Edition, and he's made a way to do it automatically, so all he's got to do is spawn it in, and I think that's really impressive. Okay, next up we move on to this project here. So I thought this was a drowned farm. You can see there's some turtle eggs inside it and there's a lot of water around. It's built on top of scaffolding and there's a bunch of ice as well. So I was pretty sure it was a drowned farm, but he said this is a mob farm. I tried to get an inside view here, but I don't really understand what's going on, just like most of his projects here. So it does look pretty cool, and he said it's really efficient, so I'll take his word for that. But I don't really understand how it works. And where the AFK spot is, he's got a stone generator, so he can stand here and get stone or cobblestone while he's farming all of the mobs, which is quite smart. And I just thought that this would be a good time to mention that this world is amazing. I love all of the projects that he's got going on here. But I will be ranking it down in the completion category, just because all of his projects seem a little bit incomplete. So he seems to get them completely functional, and then he will just rush the storage room or not even bother doing a proper storage room. And I think that kind of takes away a little bit from all of the different projects that he does have. I do think it would be a big improvement to each of the projects if he spent some time doing a proper storage room. But a lot of them are just shulker box loaders and then a few chests around. He's not really put any attention to detail or any time into decorating them, and I do think that ranks it down a little bit overall. But anyway, moving on, there is another small farming area here. So we start off with this Navy Nexus gold farm. This is the same one that I've got on my world. I recognise this one straight away. And again, he's used a shulker box loader down below. I don't really see the point of doing this for this particular farm because it drops golden nuggets. And then you've got to get the golden nuggets out of the shulker boxes and then craft them up into ingots and blocks. So personally, I decided just to go for chests for this farm, but he decided to use the shulker box loaders. And there's a few other farms around here, like this cactus farm here. I don't really know why all of these signs are placed like this. I don't know if there's a reason for that. But then there's a sugarcane farm over here. Right next to that is a pumpkin and melon farm. And then right next to that is an iron farm, which is probably one of the most needed farms on any world. Especially if you plan to build a lot of automated projects with hoppers and pistons. Heading down below a little bit, he's got a small to-do list. It looks like a storage room for something. And then another auto smelter it looks like down here. So I think this is the third one I've seen so far. I don't know if there's any more, but I just remember seeing quite a lot of auto smelting systems. This one actually looks like it pushes the furnaces around in some kind of circle. I kind of wish I asked him to show me how some of these projects work, just so I could get more of an idea. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to figure these out for myself. The next project we looked at is a villager trading hall. And this one actually had quite an interesting feature which I didn't know about. So he built this trading hall right near a zombie spawner. The way this works is the zombies will spawn in this area, they will drop down onto the magma blocks and then they will die. And he actually said something about the villagers getting reduced trades if a zombie dies near them. So I actually didn't know that. I thought you had to convert a villager into a zombie villager and then convert it back to get reduced trades. But apparently if a zombie dies near them, that can also give discounts. I don't think it's 100% reliable, I think it's more of a random chance each time a zombie dies. But yeah, it's still an interesting feature which I had no idea about. And moving on, he's actually got another big villager trading system here. So he said this is where he gets all of his quartz and all of his redstone. So this is actually quite an efficient way of doing this, just having loads of these villagers in one area. And interestingly enough, I noticed he didn't have any beds near his villagers. So my villagers need beds to restock their trades, but he doesn't seem to have any beds, and I assume all of these do restock their trades, so maybe there's something I don't know about here. But yeah, I just thought that was something to mention. There's not too much more to show here, but I'm just going to try to quickly get through it. So he has this tree farm here, which is something I've wanted to build for a long time. Probably not this exact one, but I do want to automate a tree farm. So the way this works is the wood is pushed into a little chamber over here. And then again you can see that it's got a load of bedrock. So the bedrock surrounds a wither, and then the wither destroys all of the wood, which is dropped into some hoppers. So it's definitely something unique. It's not often that you see someone with a automated tree farm and a trapped wither on Bedrock Edition, especially if that trapped wither is with bedrock that you actually had to acquire and then place there. So he's definitely got some unique projects on this world, and he's given me quite a few ideas for stuff I want to build on my world eventually. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get the bedrock to build something like this. And we're nearly at the end of this tour here, but he's only just showing me the starter base that he built. So there's not really too much going on here. He's got a small house and then a slightly bigger house. There's a little bit of storage inside. There's really not too much to show here. But this is where he lived right at the start of the world. And there's a few floating farms over the ocean close by. So this first one here, I believe, is a Trident farm. You don't really need Trident farms on Bedrock Edition just because it's so easy to get them without a farm. But he decided to build one anyway. And then flying over here, there is a squid farm as well. So it looks pretty simple, but I've built a similar one on my world and it is quite efficient. And if I go through the chest here, it's got plenty of black dye, so I assume this is efficient as well. I've actually just realised that this is the Trident farm here, so I don't know if the other one was a Trident farm as well. But this is actually the Trident farm, so I'm not 100% sure what this one is over here. Maybe he built two of them, I'm not really too sure. I tried taking notes as I was going through this world, but there was just so much stuff to see that I got a little bit distracted and some of the notes had a little bit mixed up. But anyway, the final project that I've got to show for this world is a shulker box farm over in the end. So this one is really impressive. You start off with a few shulkers, and then the shulkers start shooting towards the player in the middle, and they will somehow do damage to themselves or each other, and then they start duplicating like mad. So you start off with 1 or 2 like you saw, and before long you have about 15 here, and there's just shulker shells all over the floor. So this farm does look extremely efficient. I'm sure if you stayed here for a few hours you would get more shulker shells than you'll probably ever need. Well, probably not for this guy because he uses so many shulker box loaders. But for most people, a few hours and you'd get more shulker boxes than you ever need. But again, with the storage room, there isn't one. There's just some chests over here that are kind of floating. This project could be so much better if he just spent a little bit of time to make a proper storage room. But anyway, at this point, I'd seen everything and then I lost connection to the world, so I thought that was a good time to end the tour. Okay, so let's get on with the ranking for this world. First of all is the aesthetics. I'm going to have to rank it quite low for aesthetics. The farms are really impressive, but they are all really industrial and he's not really put too much time into making any of them look good. So yeah, I feel like a 4 is an acceptable score for this one. For scale, I've gone for a 6. So there is quite a lot of big projects that he's got on the world, but I don't think any of them are mind-blowingly big. So I think 6 is a fair score. Completion is 5. So as I mentioned during the tour, he finished the farms and then he just didn't bother doing the storage room, and I feel like that's part of the project that you need to complete if you want to score highly in the completion section. He seemed to have a bit of a problem that I used to have, where I would do a project and then as soon as it's functional I would leave that project and not work on it anymore. But these days I try to finish the projects by getting a storage room and making it look nice. And I think he could score so much higher in all of the categories if he put some time into finishing the projects and making them look better afterwards as well. Progression is the big one here, and I've decided to give him a 9 out of 10, which is pretty much a perfect score. He does have that advantage that he's had his world for a lot longer than most people, but you don't often see worlds that are this progressed. I feel like I could join a world and ask him for a shulker box of any item, and he could just go and get it and give it to me within a few minutes. I don't think it's possible for someone to be much more progressed than he is on his world, but it is definitely possible, so that's why I've given him a 9 instead of the perfect 10. And for creativity, I've given him a 6. So I thought a lot of the farms were quite creative. There's definitely some farms I've not seen before. I don't know where he gets all of the designs from. He mentioned some of them are from Reddit, but I think what brings the score down a little bit is that he's not really been creative with how he displays the farms. He's just left them in their industrial form. If he put a little bit more time into making them look better or hiding them in creative ways, kind of like Kevin did in the world before, he would score a little bit higher. But I feel like 6 is an acceptable score because there is some unique farms in there that I've never seen before. So he definitely used a little bit of creativity. And adding those scores together, that comes to a total of 30 out of 50, which seems kind of low for that world, but As I mentioned, he didn't put too much effort into the building and making things look nice. If he did that, this could easily be like a 42 or 45 out of 50 world, but it ranks down quite a lot just because he didn't put that time and effort into making things look nice. 30 points does put him at the top of the leaderboard for now, and I do think that's going to be quite a difficult score to beat. And I do still have 2 more worlds that I've reviewed, but I've just not managed to edit the video yet. So if I reviewed your world and I've not put a video up about it, I'm hoping I can get that released in the next couple of weeks. And after that, if you want me to review your world, you can join my Discord and I'll be looking for some people on there. But I do have to wrap the video up here, so I hope everyone enjoyed and I'll see you all next time.